Right before Father's Day, he became a completely different person. Suddenly, mistakes weren't a big deal. Suddenly, he was patient. It was like living with an entirely different man. Everyone thought he was an amazing father. So did I. He seemed like a great dad. People constantly complimented him. I believed it too. I wrote it in every Father's Day card. I wrote things like, "You're the best father in the world. I hope our son grows up to be just like you. I hope our daughter marries a man like you." Looking back, those words make me sick. Because what people saw in public was completely different from what happened at home. He used to joke that his parenting strategy was simple: traumatize them into obedience. I laughed, because I thought it was a joke. I later learned that it wasn't. The older the kids got, the more I started noticing something wasn't right. They weren't learning confidence. They were learning fear. They were learning how not to make Daddy mad. His storming toward them in anger and yelling only made them afraid, not obedient. They learned that every mistake mattered. Spill a drink? You get rage and anger. Accidentally drop something? Outburst of terror and anger. Any kind of accident, really. Any minuscule thing became a reason for him to be enraged. Children are supposed to make mistakes, right? That's how they learn. But in our house, mistakes felt dangerous. Mistakes were an attack on him as a person. He would ask the kids,
"Why are you doing this to me?"
or if they got hurt, cried too long in his eyes, or just were sad or disappointed, he'd say,
"Stop crying. You don't have anything to be sad about."
he would put pressure on them to be perfect by correcting every wrong move they made. Normally, when children play outside, they play in the grass, find bugs, and curiously explore the outdoors. At least they did when they were with me. If he was with us, he would yell at them,
"Don't touch that. That's gross."
or invite them to compete with him in running or some other sport, knowing that he would win. Merely existing as a kid was not safe. He would react to them with these roles: the cool kid, the smart kid, the pretty kid, and so on. This is how the pressure to be perfect began. And unrealistic expectations were birthed. When the kids were school age, we took them to an arcade. One of them climbed into a bumper car. They were excited while waiting. But the moment the ride started, they froze. They sat completely still. Didn't drive. Didn't bump anyone. Didn't move. After a few seconds, then immediately wanted off the ride. No strong emotion, just a look of bewilderment. Looking back, I don't think they were afraid of the bumper cars. I think they were afraid of making a mistake. Because I know now that when you're always being corrected and overcorrected on the simplest of things, you begin to feel like you can't make your own decisions. You can't trust yourself. We had been arguing this particular day. The room was silent and he was lying in bed on his phone. I put our baby down on my side of the bed while I ran to the bathroom. But I can't ask him to do much with the baby, because to him, that was the woman's job. So, if he wanted to have a conversation about it to make himself look good, he would change a diaper or do a feeding. That way, when we're out and someone asks if he does things for the baby, he could give an emphatic yes. But he made it very hard for me to make a request for him to do any of that, so I rarely did. So, I put the baby on the bed and walked over to the bathroom. The baby was still very small. I didn't think he could roll over yet. I was wrong. Before I could get back, the baby rolled off the bed onto the floor. I immediately picked him up. I was already upset, already scared, already feeling guilty. But instead of helping, he exploded. He started throwing things. The baby carrier hit the wall. He took the baby from me and refused to let me hold him. Looking back, it wasn't about helping the baby. It was about punishing me and making sure I was regretful and apologetic. But I now realize, right before Father's Day, he became a completely different person. Suddenly mistakes weren't a big deal. Suddenly he was patient, gentle, understanding, kind. It was like living with an entirely different man. Looking back now, I realize I was experiencing the honeymoon phase of the cycle. The tension disappeared. The criticism stopped. The explosions stopped. Everything felt wonderful again. That's when I wrote those Father's Day cards. That's when I posted those glowing messages online. That's when I told people how lucky we were. Because during those moments, I believed every word. I wasn't lying. I wasn't pretending. I genuinely believed things were changing. I thought if I affirmed him enough, he would become the man he kept promising to be. He always told me that words of affirmation were important, that if I encouraged him, he would rise to the occasion. He would become that man. So I kept encouraging. I kept affirming. I kept hoping. But I noticed that he deeply reveled in the praise and accolades I gave him. And if there was a moment where I voiced something he did that I didn't like, it was almost like he refused to believe that he could do anything wrong and responded with the very words I'd used to affirm him with.
You said I was sweet and kind, and I was the most amazing man you've ever known.
Then he'd accuse me of being too sensitive or tell me I was overreacting. Never addressing my feelings, thoughts, or concerns, we would just move on like nothing happened. As if I should just overlook whatever the issue was and accept it because he was a good person, even when he wasn't being a good person. After 20 years, I don't know what hurts more, the fact that I believed it, or the fact that I helped create this false image. Every Father's Day card, every social media post, every public compliment became proof that he was exactly who he pretended to be. But was I creating a monster? Or was the monster already there, and I was simply helping hold up the mask? The Father's Day version of him never lasted. It never does. Because eventually, the attention fades, and reality returns. When I realized my words were used against me, my praises gradually faded too. He could never get enough praise and attention, and he was about to enter a space with unlimited supply. He became a pastor and started a church. Did starting the church make him a new man? Come back next week to hear more. Please like, share, subscribe, to follow me on my journey to Empath Empowered.